Having said that, I'm with K. Murray. They're still getting out of this, but winning the group now, I don't know. But then again,
I'm not sure about
plan, Kay. It's the plan. They don't want to face Brazil.
There was a small win for Italy today, even though they aren't there, because that 36-game unbeaten streak, which started in 2019 for Argentina, was just one shy of tying the longest in men's national team history, which was that Italy sides. And they didn't manage to do it. So Italy do have a rare win on the day. Mark Ogden, Hassan Tambakti is a player that you wanted to talk about, stood out for you today.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. And I think we have to give credit to Saudi Arabia. Look, it's all about Lionel Messi not getting that win that he wanted for Argentina. But it was like watching Pete Rio Ferdinand and Virgil van Dijk roll into one. The tackle he made in the second half was, you won't see a better tackle in the World Cup. It was just an absolutely brilliant tackle to stop. I think it was Messi. Was it Messi? I couldn't tell. I had an Arabic commentator. I couldn't tell what was going on. But it was just an amazing tackle. I think, but not only that, he led the back line really well, and he plays in Saudi Arabia right now. I think that's what plays in Saudi Arabia. So this is the beauty of a World Cup. You don't really get this very often anymore. Back in the olden days, you'd see teams that you'd never heard of, you didn't know anything about. With Saudi and maybe Iran, you've got a lot of players that people are unfamiliar with because they play in their domestic league. I think Tambakti would, on that performance today, would do very well in Europe and in the Premier League. He's got the physique, he's got the pace, he reads the game very well, and he did it in a World Cup game against Argentina today. So fantastic! What a player! What a game he had.
Well, I'm sure, Kay, that Newcastle United is probably going to give them all trials, right? It's going to be pretty easy for them to do that. But this is why I said one of my very first points before the tournament started, Kay, how and Mark, how the difference between the top contenders, your top favorites to win it, and everybody else is the thinnest it's ever been. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Clearly, that's not going to happen all the time, but today was a great example.
Yeah, it was. And it's interesting that you bring that up, Mark, because obviously we have at our disposal any way of watching any league these days, especially with the internet, what it is. But who's actually doing that and taking the time? Obviously, maybe the scouts for these teams, but there are players that can shock you. And you can see some of the quality today. You're talking about those tackles, the goal that we were talking about, the winning goal. They're things that you think, okay, well, was I expecting this from Saudi Arabia today? I don't know if I was, especially against an Argentina side, but they rose to the occasion. They hugely did that. But as you said, Luis, as well, people who are watching Argentina closely and not just looking at the stats, Mark brought up a good point in the fact that the unbeaten run came against the teams that it did, that it was a smaller pool to choose from. So maybe there were a few signs that we could have seen there, that some of our colleagues have seen. So what does this mean now? What do Argentina do after this? How do they come out and say, okay, this is what happened, but we're going to sort this out. We're going to make it this better? Because now there's lots of questions that need answering, Mark.
Yeah, and I think this is the nightmare scenario now for Argentina and for Messi in particular, because the pressure now will intensify on Messi so much because, it's a bit like Portugal and Ronaldo. It is all about one player, and as great as Argentina's team is, it's all about Lionel Messi. And, he has in the past suffered, I think, with the pressure that is on his shoulders with Argentina. And he's got the kind of the ghost of Maradona hanging over there. Maradona won a World Cup for Argentina on his own in 1986, pretty much. Can Messi do that? And he's never been able to do it so far. So if you're Lionel Messi tonight, you're thinking, we've lost the first game against Serbia. It's the World Cup, my last World Cup, Maradona. It could be a suffocating pressure on Messi. And that is a difficulty for Argentina because, when he doesn't perform, Argentina don't perform. So it's all on him. So, I wouldn't want to be Lionel Messi. Well, I would, obviously. I want to be Lionel Messi right now. But, in terms of the pressure that's on him, I don't think we can overstate how much this defeat will hurt Messi and make it more difficult for him, because it is all about him all the time, but now magnified by 10, 20 times.
Yeah, because Luis, as you know, you follow Argentina so closely. That's what we've seen in the previous tournaments before the Copa America, this pressure on Lionel Messi, so much so that he decided to stop playing international football, then came back. And there's been a sense of feeling that now he has the supporting cast that he needs, that it is, of course, the focus is always going to be on him, but it has felt that some of that weight's been taken off his shoulders recently with this Argentine side. But as Mark says, it could just go back to that if they don't sort things out in the next game now.
Yep, 100%. One of the things that I was very happy to see during Argentina's, reign, winning Copa America, undefeated, doing a really good job in qualifiers, at least for the majority of the time, was that there was no longer Messi dependencia. No longer this Argentinian side relied on Messi, because Lautaro Martinez, in fact, was a kind of player that was delivering even more for Lionel Scaloni. Angel Di Maria has always been a key factor, no matter what club he plays for. The midfield was getting stronger. At the back was getting stronger. And finally, they had a proper goalkeeper in Emiliano Martinez. So everything clicked. Today was a shock to the system. And I do believe, though, it's because Saudi Arabia Argentina. They bullied them. They punched them in the face, proverbially, not, well, maybe physically at some points, literally. But it was a good statement to say, anything can happen in this tournament as long as you look and identify the weaknesses. One thing, though, Messi aside, I want to focus on the other Lionel, and that's Scaloni. I wasn't very impressed with his decision-making and in-game management. He should have anticipated this from the 5th minute. Saudi Arabia were clearly pressing a high line. So I think instead of relying on that trio of Di Maria, Messi, and Lautaro Martinez, you probably should have solidified your midfield a little bit, even drop Messi deeper earlier on, and allow somebody to be in the middle to kind of help out. And that didn't happen at all, actually.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.